What is happening, fishers? Dean from Untraceable Fishing. Yeah, tonight once again with the Don. And welcome to Tackle Tuesday. So Don, I see things on the lighter side of life.
Yeah, we're talking about scratching today.
Scratchy and itchy show. Scratchy and itchy show, guys. So where do we start? I'll leave it to you.
Okay. The fun thing is, guys, scratching, not scratching, but scratching in fishing terms means so many different things to so many different hugs.
100%.
So what we're going to do to start off with, we're going to approach it from the beginner's angle, and then maybe you guys who fish really seriously, but you might also want to scratch for edibles. So by definition, what do you think scratching to you is? I mean,
well, like in theory, looking for like hopping along the rocks or off the surf, trying different areas, trying to scratch out a fish. You know what I mean? Maybe a different, not always the same species. Pretty much going for anything that goes.
I think kind of making sure you catch something.
Something, yes. Anything that goes.
It's pretty much with the clip fish or whatever.
So
you get those days something. You fished properly and you caught nada.
Yeah.
That's when you
start scratching.
Scratch. Okay.
Downsize the hooks, downsize the tackle, and really look for anything that's going.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about like we went for Gooi yesterday. We should have been scratching.
Scratching, yeah.
Okay, so guys, scratching basically you're targeting your smaller edible species, things like blacktail, bluefish, even carantine and little moonies,
little zebra there, stone breams, whatever's going.
Yeah, whatever's going. And the idea is scratching doesn't have to be catching baby fish though.
Oh, you can catch some good fish scratching.
I mean, you can scratch 2 kg blacktail out. You know, you can scratch a silver out.
Correct.
So scratching is not necessarily fishing for babies, but it's trying to make sure you catch something. I think for a lot of us that do like to take 1 or 2 fish home, it's kind of making sure if we go home like my missus and I say, hey, at least I caught a couple of blacktail.
Did you actually go fishing?
You know what I mean? It proves I went fishing. And it kind of like, well, the bait costs so much and
yes,
the petrol was so much.
It sort of justifies
it, you know. So sorry, blacktail, occasionally I do take a couple of you home, okay? And that's chow lekker, eh? Blacktail kebabs.
Very good eating fish.
Sweet. Okay, so...
where do we start, Jadon?
You know, a lot of guys ask us questions on the various forums and that, and I think I'm going to start off with the very beginning here. Juniors. Guy asked me a while ago, what rod should he get for his 7-year-old son? And we haven't got one on the table yet tonight. Literally, the worst thing you can do with a youngster is give him a rod with a thick, heavy butt, and he can't handle it, and
make him tired,
and the wind's blowing, and he can't feel the bite.
Can't pull the hook, can't pull the rod, set the hook.
And he doesn't fall in love with this thing called fishing.
Yeah.
So, a little light, 7, 8, 9 foot rod with a small coffee grinder, like a 4,000 size coffee grinder. Just put some nylon on there, like 15-pound nylon, and let the catch blacktail in that. And you can, eh? I mean, my daughter, a couple of years ago now, she got, I think it was 6 blacktail on the trot, 35 centimeter odd average.
Nice size fish, eh?
On a 5-foot kiddie combo.
Yeah, and it's going to give you a very good pull on that.
She had a bloody good gilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was using a red bait.
Was it
you? Using red bait, we're drifting on like a 1/4-ounce sinker and bang, 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 bang. Cast for cast, eh?
And after a day like that, they're going to fall in love with it.
I was casting out 4 hours, catching bunches of weed.
Yeah.
So, to get the youngsters hooked, I think catching the first few fish is kind of important. And proper fish. Like, one, if the lady feels he wants to take it home.
He's not catching a Sylvie or Cape Stump nose. He's catching...
It's a fish. You can teach him how to gut it properly. And you can really inspire. And the girlfish as well. As I say, my daughter loves to fish. So, my younger one wasn't even 2 when she got her first fish. So, you can get the kids fishing. Fish light enough for them, guys.
Yeah.
Don't expect your kids to handle a 12-foot rod. You might want to buy more for yourself than the kid. And that very light rod, there'll be times you'll enjoy using it.
Yeah.
You're trying to catch some carantine out. You're trying to scratch light sometimes, or you go in the river or something like that. There's always place for like a 7, 8, 9 foot rod.
Yeah, you're going to get multiple uses out of one rod, one little setup.
And there, I'm just going to dive into some tackle first.
Okay.
There little ball sinkers, guys. A little running ball sinker on my nylon there, like a 1/4-ounce, 1/2-ounce type ball sinker running. Nice simple setup, small swivel, no fancy knots required. Nice little hooks.
And a small little piece of bait.
And a small piece of bait, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Most rough little gullies, as long as it's like waist deep or deeper, you're good to go. A little rough bit of white water.
You're going to catch something.
Okay. You're going to catch something. So that's scratching for the beginner, the first
Yeah.
kids getting into it. That's how most of us started.
Correct.
At Cove Rock, I used to love caning big blacktail on my light little rod.
Correct.
Until I eventually got a good silver there, about 4 kilo.
And then you
was
want
my first proper fish.
fish, yeah.
But I was about 8 years old, so there's like, I want a 12 foot
good
now.
stuff.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's how we all started, I think. But scratching for the slightly more experienced fisherman or the guy who's at least an adult, where do we start? Like rod choice wise, how much bucks do you think you have to spend?
Oh, you don't, listen, you can spend lots. I don't think you have to spend too much. You're not fishing for. I think you can start a couple $100, under 1,000 rand maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, you know, you're not trying to cast digging them gun.
No, it's a little bit of an underhand flick normally.
Yeah, you know, you 50 meters or less most of the time. We've got a few on the table here, but they come from like a 9'6" to up to a 12 foot.
12 foot in the
10, 11,
Sasson's
12
Spin
foot.
XH.
There are various brands as well as like these. They're rated 1 to 3 ounces. You can find your favorite. There's Akuma's got the little Rock Ranger. There's the LB Gully Pro. They're various. I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
But what's quite nice that you can hoy lure, like drop shot, hoy some spoons, that kind of thing. But the 1 to 3 ounce range, lekker for gully fishing.
More than enough for what would we classify as scratching? Yeah.
Got a bit of beef. Try to get an extra heavy model that can handle a 3 ounce sinker. Normally talking 2 ounce plus a decent bait.
Yeah.
So versatile rods, starting there from around about $600 to $1,000 a rod. You know,
not too heavy on the pocket at all.
Quite affordable. And you compare that with a reasonable, decent reel from about 500 to about 800 odd rand. There's some good reels out there for not too much money. So all in a lekker setup with some nylon
or braid.
In for about 1.2 to 1.5. Yeah. So it's not out of kilter, and we'll give you many years good service. We look after the stuff. So, but for a lot of us, that's kind of like not scratching. It's scratching.
Playing.
It's playing. I saw some guys fishing J-Bale a while ago, the experienced boykies. They classified going for muscle cracker as scratching.
Yeah, I've seen it. Even the league guys.
The shark boys classify edibles as scratching.
Scratching, correct, yeah.
So just because you're going lighter tackle, it doesn't mean you say you're not going to be hooking a decent fish and being able to handle a decent fish.
Correct.
So it's not just this put play around thing. It's actually kind of proper fishing sometimes.
Serious fishing, but on a
the guys who
do
fish league and wrestling, that kind of thing, you often get extra points for so many species in the bag and that. So that's where sometimes these little light, like 12-foot top setups come in strong. You extra points for, you got your sand shark, you got your little blacktail, you caught a zebra. You just, some if you get like 5-6 species, you get mega bonus points
for that.
So scratching, or if the little blacktail, the only thing is going, you can land 20 of them.
Then get the numbers
in.
So
you can get your points in, get a couple of kilos on there at least. It gets you fishing, you know. And there, we tend to step up to a rod that's a little more competent.
Yeah.
So decent carbon fiber, decent guides, typically a 12-foot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice length for scratching.
Possibly
I think.
a
13-foot, depending what
area
you're fishing.
Most of you guys have probably got 14s already.
Yeah.
So a 12-foot or so is a nice little...
Yeah, 13 and 14, your difference is not... step down a little bit more.
The funny thing is they also rated 2 to 4 ounce.
Yeah.
And because they're short in a 2 to 4 ounce, they've actually got a fair bit of backbone. They fish lekker. The Assassin Bluefish is one of my favorites there. Nice and light.
Correct. Nice and slim in the hands.
Slim line. Been a top seller for a number of years now. Really beautiful rod. This kind of thing like a 12-year-old upwards would get into quite comfortably. Even the lady fishers would love this one. Got the bionic fingers, so you don't cut your finger on the braid, and that's certainly one of my favorites. I definitely shortlist.
I think also a good rod like for youngsters just before teens to transition from smaller rods into 14-foot proper rod.
And you'll never not enjoy fishing them.
Yeah, great.
Ironically, these 12-foots, you can start pushing 100-meter casts on them. They cast exceptionally well. Akuma, they've got their precision.
Very 12-foot.
Very similar to the
Bluefish, but Akuma's version of it.
Akuma's version of it. Perhaps a little stouter.
Yeah.
And a smidgen heavier.
Yeah.
But good, strong rod.
Good.
Got the bionic finger. Got the Fuji K series guards. Like a padded case. My rod. And then we had the one we spoke about a while ago, the Assassin, the new Surfmaster
by Assassin, correct.
They've got the ones that are longer but without the bionic finger. Some of the old school boys don't like this. They prefer longer bait.
That way of casting, yeah.
You do save a bit of money, like 100 to 200 bucks on no
without the
bonding
bonding
finger.
finger,
So if budget's a mega issue, you can always fit one at a later stage.
That's correct.
So something like that, nice and light. They're anything from a 10-foot to a 12-foot. So there are various options.
Options, yeah. Depending on what's going to suit you.
And the whole idea is that short rod, nice and accurate casting.
Yeah.
You can spot the little pool behind a reef, behind the kelp, a gap there, and I can land there.
Yeah, you're normally doing like little overhead casts like that, and not big over the shoulder
not
things.
waking like we were doing yesterday.
Yeah.
So just nice and comfortable flicks. But then, how do we fish there? What's our setup? And the setup here will apply to probably the lighter stuff as well.
Yes, yeah.
Like what sinker is your favorite for scratching?
Like for scratching, if I can get away with a 2 ounce, I like a 2 ounce. 2 ounce to me is optimum. Sometimes I step up to a 3. In my terms, if you're going heavier than a 3, I'm not scratching anymore. I'm fishing heavy.
So guys, a typical like a 2 ounce teardrop
Yeah.
would be a good all rounder. You don't have to get mega fancy on your sinkers, nature.
No.
You don't need wire grabs and that kind of. Keep it simple.
I like to, when I'm scratching, I like my bait to have a bit of movement in the water.
I prefer it too because I find a lot of your smaller fish, blue fishing, that they can be quite sinker shy.
Yeah.
If they pick up the bait and they feel the sinker,
they drop it.
Drop it. It happens. We spoke briefly about line. You know, I've got 10 kg silvers on my scratching outfit on a 2 ounce rod, ironically, with some arity.
Yeah, some good quality line, and you good for
and 15 pound arity was good enough for it. Made the fight extended, but I mean, it was good fun. Also a decent little braid.
15, 20 pounds, and I think you're good
grinder,
for go.
Boss, or your own personal favorite
choice.
Got out there. But like a 15 or 20 pound braid,
More than sufficient.
more than enough for this type of angling.
Correct.
You don't want to go super heavy yet. The whole idea, the lighter, the more sensitive it is. You're feeling every little knock and you're landing them. Obviously, if you're fishing very bricky areas, you might go up to a 30 pound. But then how are we rigging this whole thing? So trace onto the sinker. Always like a little knot in the trace.
Yeah, a little snag knot up to a swivel. I like a normal standard swivel, same as Don does.
Yeah.
Some guys like the 3-ways out there. I'm not a fan of them.
I take my main line onto the back. I drop my sinker onto there. I keep my sinker traces fairly short.
I noticed that yesterday.
And I go reasonably long on the hook trace. The reason for that, I found if I've got a good fish on, the last thing on is my long sinker
dragging along the bottom and snapping up.
I don't get much advantage to me. Unless you're fishing really deep water, which we seldom do.
And then what hook size would you suggest on?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. We've got a spread of hooks here. Like a lot of guys, when they're taking, again, back to the kiddie type thing, they'll get their kiddies some tiny hooks.
Number 6 or number 8 or something.
Number 6, number 8, and number 10.
Yeah.
And they think the kids are going to catch every fish that bites, which they kind of do. And I used to see a small bait.
Yes.
Surprisingly, if you're trying to catch like slice bait, and you go too small a bait, the fish don't find your bait.
Correct.
You're throwing these little, like a tiny prawn out, a tiny piece of red bait, or a tiny piece of squid, and nothing touches it. It's kind of got to be big enough for the fish to notice.
So I'll notice I'm fishing with like a normal bait, and my bait's getting pecked to pieces.
Yeah.
So I try catch one of the peckers, and nothing bites it.
Yeah. So tiny hooks. Save this for the freshwater, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it out.
Yeah.
What you really want to do is sit on around about a number 2, number 4 hook. Yeah. If you're in an area where you think you might get muscle cracker, maybe a 2X or 4X hook. It's a thing with a stronger shank.
Bit thicker gauge.
And I find if you've got the budget for it, if you can, up to like those BKK chinos I've been using lately, they're super sharp.
Yeah. So, super strong little hook.
So sharper hook, but you can get by on something like a Landis, which is like $10 a packet. Yeah. They catch fish.
Affordable hooks.
Affordable hooks, they catch fish. What you don't want to, you're up to 1.0, I'd say, would be about right.
Correct.
And we normally like to go for a bait keep hook. It's got 2 little barbs. For the beginners who don't know, that just stops your bait from sliding down the hook. So it helps with your bait presentation.
That's correct.
Do not just buy 4.0 hooks.
Yeah.
4.0 hooks, nice for shad, cob.
Bigger fish.
Yeah. Not going to catch a blacktail on this, guys. Yeah. Unless you extremely lucky or highly skilled.
Or one of those days they're just going nuts, which they always don't go.
Nuts. And then what about circle hooks? You chat me through your circles.
Circle hooks are a bit different. I'm going to pick up the Don's favorite circle hooks. He loves these adrenaline hooks. The nice thing, like Don says, the 3.0, small enough to catch a blacktail, but you can land a big silver on this too, and strong enough for it.
Yeah, it's got a decent strong shaft.
It's got a decent strong shaft, nice gauge through it. I'd say anything from a 1.0 to a 3.0 in a circle hook would be where you want to be.
Yeah, and the big advantage of a circle hook, you're not catching seaweed or red baits and reef as easily. The point's bent.
Correct.
So, and for kids and the ladies in that, you also don't have to struck to set the hook. You
The
just
fish
got
it's going to self-set, yeah.
when it drops, you just got to hold on,
Or give it a little,
or
few
just
little turns of the handle.
lift slightly, and you're on. So often kids struggle to strike. So circle hooks can be a big advantage. Just don't pack the thing with too much bait. Keep the gap fairly open.
And also one thing, even with your smaller circle hooks, I snell my big circle hooks. My smaller circle hooks, I don't snell. I actually like a normal knot.
I never snell mine.
Because the smaller fish have got small mouths. You don't have to worry about the hook going into the corner of the mouth. You can only get in the corner.
When it comes to baiting up your hooks, regardless, even a J hook, I like to have a conventional knot.
Yeah.
I trust my conventional knots.
Yeah.
But I always like to run my baits above the eye of the hook.
Okay.
And that's where my threading of my cotton
comes in.
90% happens.
On top of the hook down, correct.
And I actually slide to about halfway down.
Yeah.
That's my
and
cotton.
You leave the bottom
bend of the hook. That's just flappy, loose. I want as much movement in the scent as possible.
Great.
So that's why I tend not to snell my hooks.
Yeah.
Even the bigger ones, believe it or not. And I still catch good fish on them. So, but adrenalines I can highly recommend.
Yeah.
I've got carb up to like 6-8 kilos on these things. No
Very
problem.
good hooks.
And I've got plenty of 1 kg blacktail.
Yeah.
Cast for cast. So good all rounder. And I see we've got some other bright stuff here.
Yeah, some little floaties, guys. Always something I recommend when scratching. Get your bait lifted up, especially between the rocks. You're fishing between bricky areas or between seaweed. You want your bait presented above the weed, not inside the weed.
Yeah, it tends to stop it from dropping into the rocks and the cracks.
And it falling away. So
and there is a bit of an attraction factor.
I know.
I think it's certainly got a bit of an attraction factor.
So a little floaty, guys. Listen, depending on fishing deeper water, bigger baits, you can go up to 2 floaties. I put 3 on sometimes, or just one little pull-shaped one, depending on the size of your bait.
And that just literally
in the depths of the water
down
the line. I know some guys peg them. I like them to have them loose.
I like to just move it. It always ends up by the bait anyhow.
So always consider something like that.
They're cheap and cheerful. And
instead of putting foam on the hook, because we're scratching, we're fishing small hooks. We don't want bulky foam around our hook, then bait around that. It's going to make your bait too big. So consider a floaty.
And when we say bait, like let's take a normal size pink prawn.
Yeah.
For kids scratching, and they're like about a half a pink prawn.
Yeah.
No smaller than that.
Yeah.
If we're using sand mussel, about a half a sand mussel.
Yeah.
Sardine, you want a piece about that long. You
want a decent little piece of bait.
Piece of bait. Because a lot of the times when the scratching is about picking, tuck, 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 and you need enough bait to actually get a chance for the guy to swallow and set the hook.
And pull off.
If you've got like a tiny piece of bait, tuck, tuck,
and it's
gone.
It's
like,
But by the time you've tensioned up and ready, there's nothing left.
Yeah, nothing left over. So you've got to attract the guy and have enough to keep him interested for a while. I think a secret I do quite a lot is have a little, with kids in particular, little squid strip down the back.
Yeah.
That's not too generous.
So it stays there.
Almost like a wormy.
It stays there.
Just a little pink prawn on top of that or something like that.
And you don't have to bait up every 2 seconds.
Maybe every 5 seconds only. Sand prawn on top of that.
Yeah.
Does the charm.
Just holds that bite a bit longer.
Don't use too much cotton though. I think too much cotton is a big no-no.
A big overkill to a lot of fish.
And make sure you clean your cotton between bait ups. I think is very important as well. And we were chatting briefly while we were seeing the rocks yesterday. We've hooked the stuff in, we found the foamy water near some rocks and some sand and whatever's going, and we're looking for the fish now. A lot of beginners make the mistake of holding their line too tight. They feel down to the sinker and they're tense and they're waiting for the fish.
Yeah.
When a fish picks up,
he's going to feel he's going to drop.
If he feels the tension, a lot of the time he'll drop.
Correct.
Other extreme is a lot of guys fish the line that's way too slack. Way too slack. And the waves are coming in and washing out. And they can't feel a fish bite.
Well, the time it does pull off your lines,
the bait's gone,
between all the rocks,
The bait's gone. So keep a 90% tension, particularly with bait, I think.
Yeah.
You've got to give it a little bit of, and when a fish does bite, let him take a bit. Drop into him.
Soft hands, guys. I think that was the word we came up with.
Yeah, and ideally even walk towards the guy if he's really pulling off on you.
You got to dance. You got to dance the bite. You can't just stand rigid and
for sure. So and give him a chance to swallow nicely. Circle, you just lift and hold. J hook, give him a nice little short chop. 1 chop's enough. You don't have to strike like crazy with the stuff. And enjoy the fight.
I think like even nice. The rocks are a bit difficult, but fishing off the surf, if you get a cob pick you up and go forward, you can walk it forward. With some of the swimmers, you don't have to even reel. You can actually walk back with the bite. So you got to dance with the bite.
You know, and a lot of us are actually scratching nowadays on like 7-8 foot rods. And we're getting bluefish in that. We're going, and it's fun. I think even on these rods, you know, on my 14 foot, if you catch a bluefish of a kg, it literally comes in
you're flapping.
Yeah, at least you can play the fish and enjoy it a bit.
Yeah, get a bit of a fight out of it.
If we're realistic, the average size fish most of us tend to catch is that pan size.
Pan size, 800 grams to a kilo or whatever it is.
And the cool thing is these rods, if you're going for a reasonable rod, can handle a 10 kg fish quite comfortably. So, and the last thing we haven't chatted about reels.
Yeah, well, there's a
Just
big
some
choice.
popular choices. I know Penn's name brand, the Penn Roth we got on special at the moment. I think from just over $600.
Yeah, that's a good price for that
it's
reel.
It's a hot little reel for the money.
Yeah,
not a hot reel,
but for the money,
for the money, it's a hot reel. If you compare it to the other brands,
I think for this type of aspect of fishing,
it's got
a beautiful little reel.
Solid construction, does the job quite lekker.
Yeah.
The Rovex Big Boss comes in a 4 and a 6,000.
Beautiful reel.
A 6,000 is a versatile size.
Yeah. You can do a bit of drop shot. You can do some scratching on it.
Be careful on the little rods, like 10 foot and under. You want to drop down to a 4,000 size, but don't use a 4,000 and a 12 foot.
Yeah.
Not in a Shimano or Big Boss type coating.
Not in a bait fishing type. Yeah.
Because you're not going to have enough line on this thing.
Yeah.
The bigger reel also handles your 2 to 4 ounce sinker better.
Better gearing.
4,000 size, only up to 2 ounce sinker max. And then that's lekker.
No, beautiful reel. I fished with one for months and months and months. I can't fault this thing.
They're the go-to when they're one of the South Africa's top selling reels. And
I think in their price point, it's probably one of the best reels in their price point. Hands down.
They're still one of our top sellers. And carbon matrix drag, full metal construction pretty much, and good. Yeah, they pull good fish, eh?
I fished my Big Boss hard. I've still got it. I've got a 6,000. I fished it really hard and it's still holding up. Yeah. It's making one or two noises now after a couple of years, but it's still holding up.
No. You're not going to, it's going to last you 10 years. But
I've fished, put it out of its league where I pretty much fished with it.
And then this one's a bit bigger than what we normally recommend. This is an 8,000, but your Kuma range as well. Something like your Zorz XP, your Cedros, even your little Metalloid.
Yeah.
You know, reels of that class there, about a 6,000 size would be about right.
Yeah, the little one I was fishing with little Zorz yesterday, the 6,000. Beautiful.
Possibly even a 5,000 I'd get away with. Like
100%.
A 10 and 11 foot rod. You know, they hold a reasonable amount of line. Good drag there as well. So guys, let's hope this gets you a little hyped on scratching.
Yeah. Try it out. It's fun.
It's also, it just gives you alternatives. Like yesterday we were fishing with Oki legs and we were looking for big fish.
And there were no big fish biting.
The sea was flat. It is clean.
Low barometer.
And it is cold, and the barometer is like through the boots. Yeah. And the blacktail was still there.
Yeah.
If I had scaled down, even on my 15-foot rod, I could probably have gone home with 3 or 4 blacktail.
Yeah.
But the missus would have been happy. I would have been a bit like,
But being stubborn in search of the big fish, we didn't.
Pretty much so, yeah. I know. You had one big pool, so we kept on.
Yeah, we kept on.
Okay, so guys, let's hope this inspires some scratching. Hook us up with your questions, maybe some feedback on scratching and what you want to discuss more on it. But
what's your favorite scratching run and what's your favorite scratching reel? Let us know. Let's have a look at it.
And tell us the stories about the galjoen and your bluefish and your,
Yeah. The one nice thing about scratching too, I get really, after 20 minutes, my concentration span's gone. So I'll often peg a bigger rod and I'll grab my little 11-foot and start running around and looking for something to catch.
What's also quite cool is there's some spots that are scratching hotspots.
Yeah, correct.
You get to know along the coastline, there'll be 1 or 2 spots at sunset, high tide. I know I'm going to bag some blacktail net there, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And if I'm taking beginners fishing for the first time, I look for those hotspots.
Yeah, they're going to guaranteed fish. Yeah.
We took a little teenage daughter off a little while ago, and she bagged 2 blacktail and 2 casts. So it's like, this fish is
happy,
easy. She loves saltwater fishing. Wishing is always like it.
Happy days.
So guys, let's get scratching.
Yeah, let's get scratching.
Let's get scratching.
Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us once again this evening. Don't forget, if you haven't seen Untraceable Fishing on YouTube, go check it out. Give us a subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Ding, ding. That's always the best part.
Yeah, and check out Bill Moria's Facebook page and our online shop. All the stuff we've spoken about
is all available on there.
All online. We've got a massive range there.
All available. So anyway, guys, from Dean from Untraceable Fishing and from the Don, until next week, this was Tackle Tuesday.
Cheers.